Hey my Shuga Bears, welcome back to my channel, Bougie AF. It's your host, Nicole. It's where I say stay bougie on them. It's me feeding you feminism for the soul. It's my soul food offering. It's where I apply pressure to issues by being critical and logical. Now don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now let's get to the commentary where I can guarantee you I will be doing too much because that's just me. And like Sheree said, who's gonna check me, boo?
Girl Nicole, where I say stay bougie on them, and I'm serving you feminism from the soul. Check me out on them people's Instagram at BougieAF_ish, and also on Twitter at I'm_bougie_AF. So listen, I know I've been going for a little bit, and there's just so much out there to talk about that I really would love to get to. But life, like real life and getting money, and you know what I mean? That shit is getting in the way. Anyway, so I've been working like 7 days straight for like 3 weeks now. So like, listen, I'm really trying to find time to to record and have the energy to record and stuff like that. But listen, I wanted to jump in real quick because I wanted to talk about the fact you know what, I'm trying to think about like how I've been thinking about like how I'm going to phrase this and what I wanted to really kind of do with this part of, because usually I open up with like talking about like different types of conversations, Clubhouse and stuff like that and things I've overheard. But I generally wanted to talk about me. And with talking about me, I wanted to talk about in terms of like a lot of like what I'm seeing in terms of like censorship. I'm seeing a lot of like censorship. I'm seeing a lot of people wanting to silence certain type of rhetoric. I'm seeing people having a problem with people for really speaking their mind and giving up their opinions on different types of topics. And it's not across the board. It's like a picking and choosing on who can do this and stuff like that. I'm seeing all of this stuff. What else am I seeing? I'm seeing Facebook become extremely whack. Like it's a whack. It's like where you go to die. Like that's what I feel about Facebook at this point. What else? Because they are limiting my videos and all this other stuff. I'm feeling very limited and stuff on YouTube. I don't know who's out there who needs to hear this, but baby, I can guarantee you, I am not giving up on me. I'm not giving up on my message. I'm not giving up on anything that I say, right? I'm not moved by anything that I have made previously experienced that I have not come out and just like said on the YouTube, but the folks on the Facebook knows exactly what it is. I'm not allowing myself to be gaslight by idiots. I'm just not. I don't give a fuck enough. I'm just not. That's where I'm at in life. But I also wanted to talk about the fact of, you know, some things that I cancel culture, and it's been a while since I actually talked about cancel culture and people feeling some way and not liking certain messages, right? And it was just so interesting thinking about like cancel culture and whose message gets the libs and who message gets air and who message doesn't. That I started thinking about like maybe some previous views that I may have said in terms of like, I like to think of myself, let's start there, as somebody who is looking at how we interact with each other socially in terms of like the things that we go through, maybe some of the stereotypes, some of the, not politically correct things that we may think of other people in other communities and stuff, because that is something that exists, right? And I think that exists in the Black community in terms of some of the thoughts and opinions that we have towards other people in the community, right? But I know there's times like I've made comments and probably towards like the Asian community. And I remember and this is how you know when the role that people have played in situations and things, because I know I'm someone who's very, I know who I've said and who I've spoken to in a certain type of way. Now, if you engage me in conversation and you bring up something and I bring my opinions, my passions and my thoughts for it, then that's just that. Like, that's just what I believe. Now, am I internalizing or am I not living in reality to where I don't see the difference between like the things that I passionately can talk about? Because I can passionately talk about World War II, to be completely honest with you. I could passionately talking about colonial history in America. Like, I could passionately talk about these things. I could passionately talk about social injustices and the things that Black people go through. I can passionately talk about the things that Black women go through in society and within our community. I can passionately talk about those things like at a drop of a dime, right? But that's no indicator of in terms of like my mood, my mental health, or if whether or not I'm suffering from depression. There's something that I consistently, when I look over my life in terms of like being able to like express myself and however that may be, right? However that may be, that's something that I have always done. Like, this isn't new where I am jumping out the box and like, here's my opinions. People who've spent enough time around me in like real fucking life and like grew up with me or maybe had classes with me should always know I was always the one raising my hand. I was always making my presence known, my opinions in terms of like the social issues. Now, if it was math and science classes, I was pretty damn quiet trying to, blend in. But all those other, all those other subjects and stuff, I was always engaged. So this ain't new, right? With that being said, this just really is not new. So with that being said, in terms of like what I do on YouTube, in terms of like, I can't wait to get back to my morning rants. Like, I can't wait to get back to all of that. But with this being said, I know I've made some views about like people in the Asian community. I hope I've made some views about people in the Indian community. I'm really just not sure, right? Because I've been doing this for a while, we're giving it up and can continue to do it. And that's really important. I say that. I think some people want to sabotage, like, what I'm doing so I can feel some type of despair. Oh, I'm not having any growth. I should just give up. I'm not. I'll bury you. It'd be a cold day in hell before I'm not. Right? So I wish people would move on with their lives because you're not changing me. There's nothing about me and who I am. I'm standing 10 toes down in everything that I believe in. Things that I've said have came true. I think people have tried to make me feel as if though sometimes like I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't have such and such degree, and I don't have such and such lived experience. And I was like, no, dumb, because I've sat back and watched you, motherfucker. Like, what are you talking about? I don't have to go through it. You went through it for me. That's how it works. Period. That's how that works, right? I picked up from your non-wisdom. Like, for real, right? So getting back to I probably have made some comments. I know for sure who I made comments to. I know what I made comments about. So I remember I was going to Bunker, and I have no shame because I want to make sure that, in talking about like the Asian community and maybe some stuff I may have said in the past and just like reflecting, I want you to know like there's no apology in me for any of that, right? So I most definitely talk to the stereotypes. I talk to what people we think within our communities about other group of people. But let's be clear. I'm always specific about, even in terms of like when I do tell a story and I say that this person is Asian, I'm specific to give you a story behind it on why I think what I think. Now, have I ever gone around and labeled an entire community a certain type of way? No. Right. But what I will be consistent about saying, the Asian people that be in the hood, they are so much different than the Asian people that be in the suburbs. Same way I give commentary about the niggas in the hood, they are so much different than the niggas in the suburbs. Whatever those difference is, I give you that same level of commentary about like talking about it in that type of way. Right? When I talk about racist white people, that doesn't necessarily mean for me that I am saying that all white people are racist. That's not that. I speak to my experiences. I speak to, things that people around me have experienced. I speak to the things that I see. Right? I don't broadly across the board label a whole group of people some type of way. Now, them hood ass Asian people, they ghetto as fuck, right? They ghetto as fuck, and sometimes they can be rude as fuck. That does not change on what so a lot of our experiences have been with the people in our communities, right? And I think people fail to realize that we're talking about people in our communities, right? Nobody's going out and nobody is mistreating nobody. Nobody's talking about doing anything to harm people in other communities. I'm literally talking about what my experience has been. Yes, I was at the Bunker Hill and I seen a girl and she came in and she did not wash her hands and I didn't know what the fuck that was about. Like, she washed her hands before she used the bathroom, and that weirded me out, and I'm still fucking weirded out, right? But what I do know for a fact is that when it comes to like the health inspections and shit and stuff at these Chinese restaurants in the motherfucking hood, they be failing and shit. So what nasty shit is going on? I'm gonna keep it straight up like that. Right? What can I what can I infer from seeing you not washing your hands? Like, what y'all doing? Are you doing that at the Chinese restaurant? That's why the shit be so nasty and be failing. Right? These are facts. I promise you, a couple news stories in my town and my state. Right? So when I say that, you literally, I'm well aware of the things that I do say, and I am okay with them because I know they are most definitely steeped in facts. Right? I can pull up those stories for you if you need me to, but that's not my job. You can go Google it. I'm confident. Right? So with that being said, there's all different types of people, and depending on like the environment where you encounter people, where you see them at, they may just be different. But them hood Asians are just them hood motherfucking Asians, just like them hood niggas are just like them hood niggas that I talk to about consistently, and I am from that community. I'm not gonna not. There's hood ass Latino people too that are way different than people who aren't from the hood. Like, what are we talking about? I'm like, why are we always trying to make it seem like someone has a hateful rhetoric because they speak to what they see and what they know? You can disagree. No one said that. You can disagree. But where's the line to say that something is hateful or somebody can't speak on something that they've been able to say? I'm not telling nobody to do anything to nobody. I stand by saying about the Asian hate bill. Could that come before signing a bill that protects Black Americans? Yeah, most definitely. I stand behind all of that, right? But again, that's not promoting hate. None of that. I don't have a hateful rhetoric. But yeah, I will most definitely say some of the older Asian people, I'm going to say 10 toes down, are really rude, right? They don't hold doors. They don't adhere to Americans' manners and stuff like that. Yeah, that's still a thing. But that doesn't mean that everywhere I go and I see an Asian person that I have some apprehension or I have some anger or I have some social issue or political issue against all Asian people. No, that's just not a thing. Like, no, that's weird. That's literally weird to me. I don't have that problem with all Black people. So that's literally fucking weird. Right? I treat people how they appear and move with them in that type of way. Right? That goes across and that's for me across the fucking board. And this is how I know niggas are on some bullshit in like real fucking life and trying to extrapolate what they want out of what I do say. I've said this like repeatedly. Like, there's times I've had jobs with other Black women and I don't have time to deal with the Black girl attitude. I don't. All of that sass and all of that angry and all that thinking you can talk to. I don't have time for that. All that cattiness. Like, I don't have time for that. So I've said shit like that. So I'm not quite sure, but I do understand when people want to paint their narratives of like messaging and like want to demonize people in a certain way, they will leave out probably a lot of context. And for me, context is king. Context is so king, right? And I just think it's really naive. And I'm going to get to this one story and that's going to be it for this video. Yeah, context is king. I don't know if recently, and this is why I'm saying context is king. It's like recently we found out that the executives at Adidas actually decided not to meet with Kanye West anymore because during one of their meetings, he showed them a porn. Right? That's not the same messaging, or that's not what Kanye led us to believe. Like, he led us to believe as though his brand was under siege in terms of being corporately taken over in some type of way, or he was being mistreated by these people and they didn't want to include him in the meetings. They were trying to leave him out of his own business. For 2 weeks, this is what we heard. And then we found out about this meeting where he showed these people this video. Right? And I say that because it's further evidence of somebody who, yes, most definitely has mental health issues, but is very strategic and really knows what he's doing with some of the things that he's putting out there. He's quite aware of it. Because the one thing about mental health, it's not something... The level of way that I'm not going to say because he does most definitely have mental health, but where people want to feel as if though someone does not know what they're doing, even in spite of having mental health, he's a clear example of someone who does know, because he knows exactly what messaging to put out there. He knows exactly what messaging to make you feel sorry for him. And that does not negate the fact that he has mental health, and it does not give him an excuse because he has mental health. Right? But those two things can exist: having the mental health and also knowing what you're doing. And if you can think strategically, you most definitely know what you're doing. If he's saying putting White Lives Matter on a shirt was for the attention and to get the conversation, whatever he thinks he's doing, that's strategic thinking, right? That's somebody who's put some thought into something, right? So, like I said, there's levels to mental health, and I'm most definitely quite aware of it. But what I will say is stop letting people tell you someone has a mental health as an excuse for behavior, because their mental health may necessarily don't have anything to do with behavior that maybe even pre-exists, or just behavior that's just them. Right? Because you can say that there are people who are depressed, there are people who are bipolar and all these other things, and it's just not equally the same across the board, and it's all different in every type of way, right? And people forget that, right? So you can have somebody who's bipolar or whatever, or suffer from depression. That doesn't mean that they are bad people or do bad things to people. Like that like those two things don't exclusively exist, doesn't have to exist with people in their mental health. And I think people just tend to think that automatically that behavior is because of that. No, right? Like, you can't do that. All right. So what else did I want to talk about? So talking about stereotypes and like commentary and social, and like just really talking about like the things that you feel or things that you say privately. I will say, like, in terms of like even some of my thoughts and opinions and towards like immigration, coming from a Black American community, immigration, and what else, thoughts and opinions, even like my Asian thoughts in terms of like how they treat people. That's really consistent. I went and asked my brother. He said he's had the same experiences in the hood, and so it's really consistent in that type of way. Like if I ask other people, and like we've seen videos of the girls and people complaining about how going to the hair shops and the Asian people like barely wanting to speak to you, not nice to you at all while taking your money. Right? But we're not supposed to speak out about that. Right? That's weird to me. Like, why can't we speak out about what our experiences are? And it not mean that across the board that everyone's having that same experience, or that everyone's like that. Because I just don't think that. Just don't. But what I think is interesting, and I wanted to, open it up and talk about that. What I do think is interesting in terms of like, a lot of people want to challenge ADOS in terms of like the things that they say, in terms of like not wanting to support the immigration bill. And I really think what we hear coming out of California, which is interesting, because I said this, and I think I said it in the Clubhouse room, or maybe I even said it in the comments, and I think I referenced the fact that a lot of people may feel in terms of like being pro-immigration that it has not worked out for our benefit, and like why would we continue to support something that seems like open borders down in Texas for a group of people that will come here, separate themselves out, will not join in our fights, but will reap all the benefits from it. I stand on that. Logically speaking, I could, there's no hate in what I'm saying. I'm just giving you an observation of like what the dynamics have been between the communities, right? So, and so to hear Nury Martinez, and she get caught saying some things like calling Black people monkeys and stuff like that, and having a very nasty disposition towards Black people. Yeah, we know this. We know this stuff. We know this. And so when I'm sitting on Clubhouse and I hear people try to talk about ADOS being some fringe crazed group that are trying to evoke race hate between communities, and we are all Black and brown people and we're one. No, this is a further example of how that's bullshit, right? Same way that the African kid named Toby, I mean, he's not a kid, so let me correct that, because we have a tendency to keep calling grown people kids. Toby, who was dating a white female, and I think they were living in Las Vegas. I'm really not sure. Long story short, she ended up killing him, stabbing him to death. But what ended up coming out in the midst of his death was the fact that he used to be on Twitter disparagingly talking about Black women, how we ain't shit, and Black people in general, lazy, all that. That's just straight like, you made it type of stuff if you dating a white woman. Like just a lot of weird shit that he was saying. Oh, when Halloween comes, he wish he could play a white, like just weird shit. But he had nothing. He called Black women ghetto, all this type of shit. These are the things that this man said. So when I sit on Clubhouse and hear people say, oh, that doesn't exist, or people are making a bigger deal out of it. No. I'm even observant enough that like when I go to cookouts and I'm talking to family and they're talking, or a conversation of just random conversation comes up, I don't have to dominate a conversation or even get involved or even give my opinion, to take to be aware of what's being said. And I think I've done that all my life, right? I'm not even saying that I've conversed, but most definitely overheard and been able to take it and receive it as information. Okay, so that being said, I was recently over the summer at a cookout, and there was two girls, and we were having a conversation. One used to be married to an African, and she most definitely said the same thing in terms of like, going through her experience and feeling that, they don't see her, they didn't see her as one of them, and the things that she went through with his family and stuff like that. So when you see Toby online, that's most definitely a representation of some things, or some of what people are experiencing. Yes, most definitely. Right. So when you're on Clubhouse and they're saying, "Oh, you guys are just, hateful," or you know what I mean, it doesn't make sense to not be pro immigrant. They're combined with white people were are I guess, I mean, I'm not going to say that word because it's not that, but white people will lose their majority in the country. And so some people feel like this is a benefit, and I just don't. And a lot of people in the Black American community, we don't feel that way. Right? They've not partnered with us in that type of way. We see a clear example of the Cuban community in Miami and how they're so on the right, but they've assimilated, right? They're more white than Spanish than anything, right? So they're not an asset to us. And I want to think that way in terms of like political beliefs and, political, in a political strategic type of way, right? You don't benefit us any type of way, but you keep on, you don't benefit us in any type of way, so why should we support it? If it's a humanitarian thing, it should be a worldwide humanitarian thing, and worldwide people should be taking people off the border if it's about that, right? Holding everybody across. I mean, there's tons of land in them people's Africa people want to go to. You know what I'm saying? Like you, but that's not what people want, right? That's not what they want. But citizens of this country, we do have a right to say that we don't want open borders, because that's not logical. That's not something that is worldwide accepted globally, and nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. So there's no reason why America should have to do that. And yes, I'm quite aware how America was built in terms of Ellis Island and all the immigration. It was a new fucking country, and there was nobody here. Period. Like, I don't know why we're trying to make it seem like Ellis Island and this country was built on. Yes, it was at one point in time heavily reliant on that, most definitely, right? But when you can't afford shit, and we're like institutions in terms of like our education system is feeling the brunt and the hurt of all of this type of, or communities who don't have enough police to police the violence that is happening in communities. Yes, our society is hurting from it, right? So if it's not benefiting us and it's hurting in any type of way, and I know there's going to be people who will go in and minimize the effects and blah blah blah, and I say F you, right? Because we literally know these schools are underfunded. We literally know that, right? We literally know there's not enough of the resources that is needed in these schools right now, right? It's overwhelmingly needed by the numbers and stuff like that. So a lot of these towns cannot afford to provide people with the proper education they needed because they have constraints. Now, I'm not going to say what the other dude said on Clubhouse, but that shit was crazy. He don't want to feed nobody, okay? I was like, what? I was like, straight, we can feed people, but the bigger all picture, yes, it is a strain on the budgets. It is a strain on the taxpayers. All of that does exist. So we have shaking my head. LA City Council President Nury Martinez resigns after audio leaked of her calling a colleague's black adopted child a little monkey in Spanish. Oh. Okay. And like I said, it's just I wanted to do this because so many people try to make it seem as though these things are not happening, right? That somebody like me or other people are agitators or miserable people who are making things who are being hypersensitive and blowing things out of proportion. No. And so so sometimes I feel like people got to hear it to understand.
It's a black and brown on this float, and then there's this white guy with this little black kid Este niño has no, they're not even, they're not doing, the kid is bouncing off the effing walls on the floor, practically tipping it over. There's nothing you can do to control him. Parece changuito. And I'm just like, oh my God.
All the, folks like with that school, he did call me. He wants to have breakfast with me.
What is taking him so long?
I just said, hey, we need to talk.
You'll support him from the.
Alright, don't worry, I got you. So you'll start seeing him line up. Isaac was the first.
Like the oddest thing, it's like black and brown on this float. And then there's this white guy with this little black kid who's misbehaved. Este niño has no, they're not even, they're not doing, the kid.
It's always interesting to hear what people say privately about, and the thing is, like, I'm a realist. Like, I'm not somebody who's not gonna say that I probably have not said some incorrect, or I'm sorry, some politically incorrect stuff, or some stuff that is stereotypical or whatever. I'm not someone who's gonna say that I haven't did these things privately, but I think it's just always interesting to see it happen, and it be exposed. And it just really shows, like, when people say that, oh, you're not having that experience. No, do you think you're just being too sensitive and stuff like that? And we see somebody who has some power, because she's a city council president. People, and I agree. And this is my opinions. Like, even if these were her opinions, without her being a city council president, I would not give a fuck. I'll be completely honest. But I'm consistent across the board in terms of, like I say, I only even care when it's white people, when they have power or they can control situations that may involve people of color, since they have such a disdain. Because I do not think your personal beliefs should affect other people in any type of way. Right? So with that being said, that's when I give a fuck. And so I feel the same way about Nury, because she is a city council person. I give a fuck. But for me, I knew this existed. I think we all knew this existed. Those who want to keep it real and live in real fucking life, know that this is what it was. And there's been no kumbaya, we've all lived in harmony that has happened in these communities in terms of, like, black and brown people. So that's why the Democrats get a big F you, middle finger, because you're trying to flatten messages to make it seem like, in terms of, like, all of the black community agrees. And that's just not the truth. We do not agree when it comes to illegal immigration, and that's a period. Like, I'm getting to the point where I don't even want to explain it no more until our government does a better job at educating the people that are here so that they can be productive citizens within the society. That's just where I stand on it. You're not going to work around us and keep us in this perpetual loop of not being able to ascend in society. I'm just not here for it. Right? And that's how it looks to me. Oh, we're just going to get around needing the black people. We're not going to educate them. We're going to keep them at the bottom. No, and when I say keep us at the bottom, I mean, I'm talking about the education, right? Because I'm literally talking about the educations and access to buying a home, things that we still struggle with, right? And we've seen that. I forgot what the lender, in terms of, like, they got in trouble when it was realized that they're not loaning money to black people, right? So, yeah. So Nury Martinez. So let's read this. Neighbors, this is found on Neighborhood Talk. Neighbors, people really can't help themselves from being racist. That Los Angeles City Council President Nury Martinez has resigned after audio leaked of her being flat out racist towards her colleague's black child in other comments towards the black community. According to the LA Times, Martinez was speaking with fellow council members back in October 2021. The council members were discussing council member Mike Bonin, a white man, when Martinez is heard recounting a conversation and said Bonin thinks he's fucking black. Oh, wow. Martinez then continued with a story of Bonin and his adopted black son. Wow. Martinez says Bonin appeared with his son on a float in a Martin Luther King Jr. Day parade, and he handled his young black son as though he was an accessory. That's what she said. Oh wow. The Times reported that Martinez also said of Bonin's child, Spanish, parce conjunto, or he's like a monkey. Okay, conjunto is monkey. Okay, wow. They're raising him like a little white kid, Martinez said in the audio released by the Times. I was like, this kid needs a beat down. Let me take him around the corner and then I'll bring him back. Martinez obviously has resigned since the surfacing of the audio, saying, I take responsibility for what I said and there's no excuses for these comments. Martinez said in a statement, I'm so sorry. The context of this conversation was concern over the restricting process and concern about the potential negative impact it might have on communities of color. My work speaks for itself. I've worked hard to lead the city through its most difficult time, Martinez said in a statement. Bonin has also spoken out against Martinez and her comments against his son, saying, we are appalled, angry, and absolutely disgusted with Nury Martinez attacked on our son with horrific racist slurs, and talked about her desire to physically harm him. It's foul, abhorrent, and utterly disgraceful. Now I thought I read that because I didn't read that before. It's really bad that she said all of this, but I don't think that she was it didn't now that I've read this, I don't think she was commenting on blackness, to be completely honest. I think she was talking about the parenting. And I think, she used monkey. And I think that probably is what evoked, of course, all the anger, because you shouldn't do that, right? I'm pretty sure for her, he was acting like that, and so that was the word, but it does not sound like she had a tone of like race, to be completely honest, or it was about race, but it was more or less about the parenting and lack of parenting. And girl, I'm here for you, and I understand when you see lack of parenting. And how infuriating that shit is, and how difficult it is. Like, we all have to be around your unruly ass child, and you want to not parent your child. Okay, I totally get where she's coming from. Ooh, girl. And I can just imagine being on that float. Like, you're not gonna get your kid. You're not gonna get your badass kid. You're not gonna see, you see your badass kid jumping around here like a fucking monkey. You're not gonna get your kid. And I don't think it was raised for her. And that can exist. I don't think it was raised. Because, again, she said, I want to whoop the kid. But she didn't say, I want to whoop the kid because he was black. There's none of that. She's saying, this kid is a badass little kid, and I want to beat his ass for him being a badass kid. Not for him being a badass black kid. And I think sometimes, that is missing. That is missing. But, what's wrong with people? But, girl, you got to go because you got caught. And like I said, nobody wants their private conversations to get out. So, I know California is one party state, meaning only one of the party has to know that it's being a conversation, like a phone call or whatever is being recorded. I come from a 2-party state, so if there's any recordings out there, please drop the dime, because I'll sue a motherfucker. I'll take him to court and all that other shit, right? But yeah, I come from a 2-party state. I know California's a 1-party, and I'm pretty sure, and I know for sure Atlanta's a 1-party, because that's why certain bloggers are able to record. Now, what I don't think people understand, what Trump's, let's say I was talking to somebody in California and I'm in Massachusetts, my 2-party state requirement will trump their 1-party, right? So they cannot record somebody in a 1-party. Y'all see that? I'm right about it, right? Yes, y'all. You got to read these laws and shit, because I be reading them. All right, so let's see what my co-hosts in the comments had to say. Super saying, girl, them folks don't like us or you. That's the crazy part. You still a minority in the eyes with that crooked, thick-ass wig you have on, ho. Super crazy. It's hilarious how the other POCs are racist towards blacks as well. People of color. And it is true, they are racist towards blacks as well, but I also don't think that, I thought this would support, but I don't think that that's what, she might could be, I don't want to say probably, she might could be, but at the same time, this wasn't an example of that. This was about this badass parent, and y'all know how fuck them kids. All right, and then kid need to probably go to school in Missouri where they're going to be beating their ass and shit like that. These kids are bad. That literally, that's sort of, I don't want to talk about it now, but T.I. and his son, 2 weeks ago, he said his son is on a collision course to find what he's looking for in these streets, and that's just what it is. He got to learn. I know that energy. That's what the TI said. Now all of a sudden he done ran into Charleston White, and Charleston festing him up and roasting him down real good, real good. Now all of a sudden niggas want to come outside and fight and all types of shit and come talk to the daddy. The daddy just told us 2 weeks ago he was done. The daddy said he was done parenting 2 or 3 weeks ago. I am never talking. And I know King is only 18 years old, but I promise you, I'm never talking to a parent about no motherfucking adult. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm just not. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. And so it was so funny because I was in a clubhouse room and they brought this up and they were just like, don't say nothing to mine. Same shit I told you in my video. Let them come to me. You say something to mine, I don't care. And I don't care if they wrong or they right. I'm gonna become the Tasmanian devil. I said, oh, okay. All right. Well, let me get me a gun, Tasmanian devil and her badass kid. But this is a response to your children. Now, do I believe that anybody should put their hands on anybody's child under 18 years old? No, that is totally inappropriate. But with that being said, of course, there's asterisks, there's except in this cases, right? Except in this case in the Bronx where they beating up them fucking elderly people. No, I would lay your motherfucking kid out. I would fight your kid touching somebody's grandmother. So there's all bunches of exceptions. Now, if you touch me, I'm going to touch you back. Yeah, there's all types of exceptions. If I walk up on you attacking somebody, or jumping somebody, yeah, I may pull you off, may not, because niggas may have guns and shit, so you gotta be careful even when you interject yourself instead. But like I said, there's all types of asterisks and stuff in terms of that, right? But just to hear these parents just like, I don't care what my kid do, come to me, and that's still my child. No. I wasn't there during that nut. This ain't my problem. I don't feel the way you feel about yours. And at the end of the day, as much as that may sound cold and whatever, like, people will really do the most and they really feel like there should be no type of accountability for their actions. Shaking my head when they think they white. Ooh. Imagine the shit that was said that wasn't recorded. I know that's right. But to me, whoever's listening to this, I don't know if that person's also a city councilman. She felt comfortable to talk this way with this person. So to me, he's just as guilty in whatever. He's just as guilty to me as her. Because even like privately, to get to that level, that person is sharing with you, you sharing with them. There's been some type of bond. There's been some type of relationship status for someone to talk like this, right? So that's why it's even so hard in terms of like when you're recording people and getting them to say stuff. You're not going to record what you say, right? And why would that person feel comfortable saying that to you if that was not the level of your conversations? And I think I said this before in terms of, I don't know, I have a feeling that conversations with a particular slime ball ass drunk may have gotten out there. But all I will say about that, why was she so comfortable? Because that's not the conversation. Like, you don't have that type of conversation with every fucking body, right? And so you can never play me, make me feel some type of way, like in terms of, oh, she's this or that. No, bitch, whatever I was this and this and that, you were this and this and that too. And that's how I feel consistently with this phone call. Whatever she's about and what she's standing on, she believes this person listening does too. Period. They get down the same type of way. And so when someone is saying, I wonder what else she said, whatever, I don't know, maybe this person this week, he wanted to make a name or whatever crossed her. Maybe she did something he didn't like, and so now he wants to let it be known. But that does not mean that his intent or that he is a better person than her. No, that doesn't mean that at all. When you don't want to be about mess, you ain't into gossiping, you ain't into talking about people or talking about things or whatever, then you don't even allow yourself to even be in that motherfucking conversation. And that's a period upon period. If I don't want to talk about something, then I don't add to it, then I just don't talk about it. Let it go. Let that person say what they have to say, and then I move on. Right? If I really don't want to be about a part of something, if I'm really not like that, fuck out of here. Right? Set up people or set up people. Right? Where's it at? Listen, I'm not surprised. I'm glad I took Spanish. I'm always ear hustling when people are speaking Spanish in front of me. I had a coworker put me on game. A lot of Hispanics are taught not to like or respect black people. We are deemed lower than them in America. So, again, shout out Clubhouse and the, the progressive whatever they are who try to make it seem as though this is not happening. I don't know necessarily it's the progressive blacks, but it's the people who run around with the motherfucking the motherfucking I don't even want to the goat. It's like his crew and people, like they try to run around and make it seem like black people are hateful for not supporting immigration because we don't know any better. We're not as well read as them to understand how this really is a benefit. What the fuck you talking about? We got real life to tell you that it hasn't been, and we got time. The one thing about like when people give their opinions about things, especially if it's not talking about something futuristic or something that has not happened yet, if people can point to clear examples of like, hey, it's been 20 or 30 years, we don't quite see the benefit of this, that's all, like, to me, that's better than any statistic or any number that you're going to read off to me. Like, where's the proof in you saying that this has been a benefit for the black community, black American community, the community that gets out and marches, the community that protests, the community that causes hell, right? Where's the benefit? And I want to talk just like that. Because stop trying to play black people on some emotional feelings, vibes, or whatever, spirituality, like, it's that, good, God would want, like, stop trying to play us on that. What benefit? How do we benefit on? And if we don't, like, that's how we talking. Because that's how everybody else is talking in terms of getting what they need for their communities. Black people, we are alone. We have no friends, no true allies in other cultures at all. They giving it up. My co-hosts on these comments are giving it up. All we got is us. We are not people of color. We are black. Stop falling for a multicultural agenda. We are not included in it. They don't fuck with us at all. None of them. 3,100 likes. I keep telling people, if you think white people hate us, just wait until you find out how Hispanics feel about us. We're literally the most hated race and ethnicity group on the planet. It is naive to think that they don't think that they are superior to black people, even if they claim to be a friend. It's all good as long as they are doing better than you. Racism towards black people from Hispanics is often overlooked, but very real. But our race is more likely to step out and date them knowing the issues. And that's why when Sin Santana said what she said on that podcast with Angela Yee, who did not correct her in terms of, like, Spanish women getting treated better, like princesses, over black women, and for her to be dogged out and, and didn't get treated better. Yeah, that superiority attitude exists. Yes, most definitely. They do think that. Because you thought you literally said that y'all get treated better. Black men treat y'all better. And it's a true statement, but the fact that you are aware of it, yes, sis. Yes, sis. All that you went through. Because when you think your pussy don't do what my pussy do, like, bitch, you stupid. That be the gag. It all does the same thing. That be the gag. And I think women like Kim Kardashian or even Crystal, Neil's wife, who he wants out the house for his new light-skinned girl to move in with, allegedly, because all this shit is allegedly, y'all know how I feel, for them to be treated the way they've been treated so publicly, even when you're talking about, like, pretty privilege, like, and I tell you guys all the time, that's why I don't feed into trying to put up sexy PTRs or change my PTR to my face and how I look and all this stuff so much, because I just don't think it should matter. But I also haven't seen where the beautiful women on Clubhouse don't get treated a certain way, right? I've seen a lot of beautiful women I've seen a lot of, because you don't know, niggas don't be looking like their PTR in real life. So I'm just going to say, I've seen a lot of beautiful PTRs get treated dirty. I just have. I just have. So I don't think that's a real thing in terms of men just like something nice to look at. If a nigga's gonna disrespect you, they gonna disrespect you. Right? And what they do respect about you does matter. And if it's only because you show up in a lesser, quieter, not strong presence, I don't respect that. Like, I mean, understand why you're liked. Sometimes that's really important. That's the message around now. Understand why people like you. Or why people tolerate you, or why people want you around, right? And if it's not something that wholeheartedly speaks to who you are and how you show up and how you really feel, you have to really evaluate yourself. Like, do you really bring value, right? Do you really bring value? Because at some point, you're not going to be the young and, the most beautiful, the most sexiest anymore. And so how do you then appear in society at that point, right? And so, again, I say really try to figure out like who you are so that you can make sure that you can stand on that, outside of just your aesthetics. You know what I mean? Because that shit fades. And it's not real. It's not real respect, right? It's just really not. Because, again, what is true in life is when someone feels some sort of way, or when someone wants to, they're going to disrespect you. If they feel like they have a reason, they're not gonna be like, oh no, she's too pretty. No, no. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here on this. Now, do I want to read any more comments? Let me see. So this person just copied and pasted all of that. The irony of this happening during Hispanic Heritage Month, a lot of POC talk, black and brown talk, but one side is always benefiting from it. Black people have to wake up. And this is exactly what I've been saying. Like, we don't benefit from it. So go in the minions. Y'all got to do a better job of, like, I don't know what y'all need to read. I don't know what y'all need to read to catch up. But we are reading real life. We're looking at the results of what situations have been over the last 20, 30 years. And we say, you a motherfucking lie. And you can keep all your motherfucking statistics and all the other shit. It ain't working for us. We don't see the benefit in it. And that's a point, period, blank. I don't wish no kid in no cage. I don't wish nobody to die trying to get here. You stay your ass home. You know it's dangerous. Like, what the fuck? I don't wish none of that. Trump was wrong for all of that. But what is wrong is taking your child and putting it on your back while you try to break the law. Yeah, that's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. You need to go to jail. Child endangerment. That's what that sounds like to me. All right, y'all know how we do. Keep it bougie SF. Keep it black SF. Keep it posh SF. And y'all be black, y'all. And I'm out. Bye, bye. Mwah.